I'm here with David Cahaya, and he's at Dell Alienware. And I mean, it's best if you introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey, hi everyone. My name is David Cahaya, and I'm the product marketing lead. I'm the product planner for all of desktops, premium desktops at Dell. So that includes XPS, Alienware, and G Series.
Okay, so what exactly are your specific points? What you are doing actually?
So I'm actually the one that designed the portfolio for all premium desktops, and also working with the core team to actually bring these products to market, right?
Okay.
Kind of set up the design, working with the design team, set up the feature sets and things like that, just to make sure we have the right product for our customers.
Okay, cool. So before I'm actually going to start with mine, I would like to get to the viewer questions because I wanted to know what they want to know. And I mean, the first one is pretty easy. That's the Dell Alienware 55-inch, the gaming TV or monitor. Will it have HDMI 2.1?
Actually, I'm not too familiar with the design on the peripheral, so maybe if we can follow up on if there's any specific on is that 2.1.
And the second question would be, I mean, I kind of get your answer, but how do you justify the price of 4,000 compared to, for example, LG? Theirs cost like 1,500. I mean, there is a difference. I get that.
Yeah. So I think a couple of things, not just from the technical point of view, but also from the design, right? If you look at, it's not just designed as a TV, but it's a monitor. So you're talking about fast refresh rate for response times and everything else, but also the legend design that goes with it, just kind of like the sleekness and the kind of cool industrial design that goes with it. I think it fully justifies.
And I get it. You have a lot more hertz, so it's something different. I get it. Yeah, and I've seen it, and it looks impressive. Okay, so the next question is a little bit of a tougher one. In Germany, we've talked about that. The products here are a little bit more expensive, and you use a lot of, especially proprietary parts. I've seen that on the desktops, and with those specific made chassis. How do you justify it being? He actually says quite heavily overpriced. So what would you say to that?
Yeah. So I think that's where we kind of differentiate ourselves, right? We want to make sure that we put the best products out there for our customers. So that means we test every individual components, but not just that. That we actually make sure that they all work together the way it's supposed to. I think Alienware has all the brand tenets. We want to make sure that it's innovative, that it's designed correctly, it has quality materials, and so on and so forth. And just picking parts from the street or from a basket of parts just doesn't give you that kind of built together feel. And so that's why we want to make sure we have all the best parts individually, but that they all work together as a team as well, right? And I think the good news is that now that we also have a G series, the G5, for example, is a good alternative for people who are looking more of a product within a certain budget, but still has that premium feeling. So G5 is a good alternative as well.
Is there actually any plan for a desktop on the G series?
Yep. So we are happy to, at Gamescom actually, we're introducing two products, right? One is the Aurora R9, which is the next generation of Alienware, but the other one is the G5 desktop, which is again a very compact package, but has a lot of performance in it, and it's priced very nicely.
So you'd say your main reason why you use proprietary parts is that they work better together?
Yes. That again, I think a lot of times we want to make sure they work together. Sometimes because of the design that we have, it requires us to be, like for example, with the swing arm design that we have, right? You can't just fit any PSU in there. It has to be proprietary part to make sure that it works together the way it's supposed to with the design elements that we want in there as well.
Okay, because I have to actually say it's a little bit sad and it's a little bit of an older product, but when I had the Aurora R5, it was the water-cooled one. It was super quiet, but the issue was that the PSU was actually the only audible thing, because that one seemed a little bit like lower quality, and a lot of people also said that you can't just replace it because it had the kind of different cables and so on, so it wasn't proprietary. So is this also a little bit to save up on money if you do it maybe with some compromise in terms to what you can buy off the shelf?
I think that's not our main reason, right, to do it. It's not just because it's not the cost that is cheaper. That's not what's driving us. There's definitely savings if you try to leverage, and then as the more volume you have, definitely there's a little bit more cost savings. But at the end of the day, what we want to make sure is that we do right by the customers, and that's the best product that can get into our system.
How would you actually say you rank compared to, for example, the newer? There are so many system builders right now that just use off-the-shelf parts. Some use higher quality ones, some not. But compared to you using everything on your own and doing resourcing your own stuff, what would you say where you stack up, where you are in the ranking still?
Yeah. I can't speak to our competitors, right? But I have full confidence in our products. I think we can put our products to the best out there, and they will compete really well.
Okay, cool. Then I had a different question: if there will be a matte OLED display, if that's even possible, or if something like that is planned.
Again, I don't have any specifics yet, and then so I think we'll have to follow up on that one.
Okay, another question. I don't think that's actually going to happen, but he asked if there will be like a MacBook for gaming, like with an aluminum unibody, if something like that is in the works, which would be something different to what you have already.
Yeah, I think I can't speak to product specifics and what we're planning yet at this point, so probably can't answer that one.
Okay, my next question, what I would actually like to know, if you know, how big is Alienware in Germany? Or in Europe, maybe in general?
In terms of like share and things like that?
Generally, yeah. And popularity maybe or something like that.
I know that Alienware has a very core following and people who are passionate about our products, so we thank them for that. But of course, we always want to grow bigger. And in Europe, I do believe that there's room for us to get even better known and to get bigger in Europe.
But I would actually personally like to know, since I have the M51 right now here, why do you still kind of keep using still an old BIOS and not the UEFI, at least on some devices? It seems I haven't seen something like that yet.
I think BIOS, we keep looking at like our BIOS and see if we can do better. I think the main concern every time we change the BIOS is the overclocking ability, right? So we want to make sure that our overclock is one of the best out there. That's one of the reasons why we're continue to look, and we're very careful in terms of just updating to the newest BIOS, just to make sure that our overclock works the way it should, and that again it's the best out there.
Because I don't want to sound harsh, but I mean I have to say I use the Alienware Command Center right now, and it looks a little bit, I mean, nice on the eyes, but it's actually not that functional or that easy to use as it looks at first. Especially the overclocking seems very limited if you're maybe comparing it to a gaming motherboard. I
see. No, that's good feedback. We'll definitely take that to heart. I mean, we always look at our competitor, our customers' feedback, and especially like people like you, our hardcore fans. We'll definitely take that to heart and kind of look into that.
What I would also like to know, what's the most common thing people are looking for a gaming desktop these days?
I think number one in my mind is always performance, right? Especially for gaming, people want to make sure that the gaming work that they buy can perform with the best out there. So that's number one. Number two is quality, right? Again, you don't want something that you buy and then break the next day. But the other function that's also really important is design. I think, especially for gaming, gamers typically are very passionate.
That's actually what I wanted to ask. Yeah.
Exactly, they want to make sure that it's really cool looking. They can show it off to their friends. But even as you're looking at it by yourself, that it's a great product. So lighting is very important as well. So we always look into all those to make sure that they're right.
What do you see? Do you maybe see even a trend in AMD kind of keeping up with Intel? Because if you build your own system, AMD got pretty big. Do you see that on your market as well?
I think AMD is getting really interesting, right? I think their Matisse product is really, really interesting. So those are some of the things that we definitely are looking into and keeping in mind.
Okay. The next thing I'm not quite sure how familiar you are with the Alienware peripherals. How many people do you actually think who buy an Alienware system also buy peripherals from them, and how big do you actually plan on maybe expanding that? Because I see you already have by now headsets, you have keyboards and mice. Is there anything else in the planning?
Yeah, so it's definitely an area we want to grow. We've actually done some research and some focus groups to kind of find out what people think about Alienware peripherals. And what we found is that we definitely have room to grow in terms of people recognition, right? People know that Alienware makes systems and great systems, but in terms of peripherals, that's one thing that we're still growing. So as you see, I think we're launching a lot of different keyboards and mice and headsets now. I think it's an area that we want to continue to invest. So look for more products to come, but it's definitely an area we need to grow.
And I also know that you work a lot with gamers. How involved are they maybe in the process of developing something like that?
To various degrees, right? I think we have Alienware Arena, and we monitor Reddit and all the other social media as well. So we definitely get all kind of feedback from people, right? Some of them are serious, some of them are not so serious, some of them are positive, some of them are not very positive, but we continue to monitor them. That's one. We've also interacted with a lot of super fans or influencers. So sometimes we'll invite them over and kind of have their input early on in our design. We've done it with our systems, with our peripherals. And then the other thing we also is we work with the super gamers, right? Which are the competitive teams like Team Liquid. We have very close collaboration with Team Liquid, so we'll go to their training center once a quarter or even more to kind of collaborate on here are the products we're looking at, what are their inputs, and try to kind of get that input and put them into our products. So we definitely have a lot of different inputs and a lot of different places where we can get input from our customers.
And what I would also like to know, and compared to the market of gaming desktops and laptops, how big are accessories at the moment? How they stack up to compare?
I think accessories in its own is a big market and growing. I think for Alienware, it's one area that we probably still need to grow a lot more.
So I guess you want to also grab the non-Alienware users at some point.
I think our Alienware peripherals are not just made for Alienware. I think it's designed to be very complementary to Alienware, and there are a lot of good things that, not just from the design, but a lot of good things that come with having kind of one set, right? But at the same time, the Alienware peripherals will work great with any system out there.
Obviously. But this is the next interesting question. What do you think you do better or maybe also worse compared to the competition, and what would you actually maybe kind of take an influence from them, what you might think they do better?
We're talking about systems or peripherals or?
I mean laptops and desktops in general.
Yeah, so I think for systems, again, I don't want to talk much about our competitors. We believe in our systems. I think in terms of performance, in terms of design, we help set the trend, right? And that's why, for example, we come up with Aurora and the new Legend design. If you see, we kind of set the trend back when, and I guess it's a badge of honor, right, that people were following us. But then the market became saturated with blacks and reds, and that's why we come up with all these new designs to kind of help reset the trend to a different way again. So I think in terms of design, performance, and everything else, we are among the best out there. But we also always look at our competitors, see what they're doing well, and we'll just try to see what else is out there and make sure we're not lagging behind, right?
Okay. So at the moment you don't see anything specific that you think you could or maybe want to improve the most on?
We'll always work on improving every facet.
Okay. Okay. And since we've already talked about the new design and kind of the new strategy with accessories, what do you think, or is that already the next thing, or is there something next coming soon?
For peripherals?
Generally, what do you think is the next big thing in gaming maybe?
In gaming, I think, so we've always we've had an eye on VR for a long time, right? We thought VR was going to take off, and then I think it took off a little bit, but it plateaued a little bit. But so we never took our eyes off the ball on that one. We continue to look at the possibility and see where that next bump is coming from. We also look at, I think the technology makers are kind of accelerating, right, in terms of their technology. You see with both Intel and AMD, the number of cores and then the speed with the cores. So again, I think they continue to innovate and want to make sure we stay with that curve. Also, same with GPU, right, with ray tracing and everything else. So we look at all the technologies and it looks like everybody's trying to leapfrog each other. And that's our challenge and our excitement is just to keep up with all those technologies, make sure that they work together. Because I think just one piece of technology by its own, it doesn't do much. But you will have to make sure that it works with everything else and make sure that it actually delivers the benefits to our customers, to the gamers.
Was it actually surprising to you that VR didn't quite take on into the mainstream market?
It is and it is not, right? I think because you can't really, the challenge with VR is that, and this is what I hear a lot from people as well, is there's no killer app, right? That it seems like a lot of VR apps are made almost like as a demo, or it's a game that can do VR but not specifically made for VR. So that's the part that you can't guess, right? Which developer is going to come up with that killer app? But I think we're getting there. It's just getting there slower than we.
So you think VR will maybe have a second renaissance or something like that, and maybe keep growing? Because I actually didn't expect it to go off like many people did, and there is a hardcore niche, but it's a small niche after all.
Yeah, it's something we keep an eye on. We don't have crystal balls to say exactly when it's going to take off, but definitely something we will continue to look at.
Okay, so at the moment the biggest focus is still, I think laptops are the main thing right now, because desktops is still something a lot of less people use than gaming desktops.
Yeah, notebooks are really important to us for sure. I mean, but at the same time, desktop actually is still growing. So people think that desktop is shrinking. From our research and all the industry research out there, on gaming desktop is actually not the case.
So you see at the Alienware itself a growing?
Gaming desktop as a category is still a growing category.
It's actually surprising.
So desktop, just desktop in general, right? Including business desktop and everything else, it is shrinking. But for gaming desktop, we actually see still a little bit of growth there. So there's potential there.
And gaming laptops, I guess, are still very strongly growing. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm pretty much done. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.